New Zealand is a very interesting team, right? Normally considered by everyone as underdogs, but somehow they always find a way to punch above their weight in
Will be that
ICC
X
tournament.
factor for me with the new ball in India with his IPL training as well.
Correct,
Very handy.
correct.
So,
And for
but
me, he's the most dangerous left arm pacer, right? Like, for example, I know Stark is there, but Stark on his days can be
get hit.
erratic and get hit also. Shaheen Shafridi also, I mean, there are some injury concerns at times. He's upfront good with the new ball, but once the ball loses its shine,
Uh,
then with the older ball, he's not that good. But I think Bolt, you hardly recollect him ever getting hit, right? And he always gets
he
wickets
misses the
with the new
initial
ball.
tournament, right? As per the reports, he might not play the first 2 3 matches. I think that's when problem will start for them.
Hmm.
Also, if Kane comes and he's not at all batting well, that
Hmm.
again will create a problem because you cannot drop him because he's your captain plus it's Kane Williamson. So then you're playing with an out of form Kane Williamson. So I think it really hinges on that one poor fellow who's coming back from an injury who hasn't held a bat probably all this while.
Hello all and welcome to a new video on the Third Man Musings. So in our previous video, we started with a preview of the World Cup squads for all the teams in the tournament. We previewed England, who are one of the major title contenders this time around. In our second video, and if you have not watched that, please go ahead and catch that preview video before you watch this video and let us know your thoughts. So in the second preview video, we are going with New Zealand and right. Nobody puts them in the potential semi-finalist list, and invariably they are the team that always finds a way to make it there, right? So we'll be discussing about New Zealand, and New Zealand in the recent past has hurt India a lot. We all remember that dagger they put in our heart in the 2019 World Cup semi-final. So it will be an interesting team to preview. So on that note, Sumit, what were your thoughts on the recent England-New Zealand ODI series, right? Because it was a very good
Mm-hmm.
workout for both teams. And how do you see New Zealand going ahead this time? While we'll do the deep dive, but initial thought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that was a very good tour, I think, for both the teams because both played pretty much their first 11s, barring a few key players missing. So New Zealand T20s were competitive, and ODIs they started off with a bang, like we discussed in the last video, with the dual centuries by the two New Zealand batsmen. But then they lost momentum, and England completely bulldozed them in the next three. So the good discovery they found in that series, and which was for me a surprise, was Rachin Ravindra. So they got their own New Zealand Jadeja, very similar skill set player, who does their finger spin left armor and number seven batter. So one of the few good discoveries they have, which gives them a lot of flexibility in their squad when we go over the squad analysis. I think the major talking point for this team is Kane Williamson because this guy got injured in the first match of Gujarat in the IPL while fielding, ironically, and we haven't seen him since then. So he had this surgery, and there was this whole talk that he will miss the World Cup. Then suddenly now there's all this hype. He's coming back. He's coming back, but he has not played any competitive game, anything. So this guy is directly going to come into the squad, directly start playing in a World Cup. And I know it's Kane Williamson and he's a legend, but it's I think a step too far. I feel. And I don't know if he's playing from the start also. I think the news is he might miss a few initial games.
Yeah,
So
the couple of games. Yeah, probably available from the third game is what we're hearing. Yeah.
So he's that important a player that a person who hasn't held the bat probably since IPL is going to directly captain a team in the World Cup. So he's that important for New Zealand scheme of things. And when he plays, the team looks very different because of his captaincy and because especially the way he his skill set is for the Indian conditions. He's the perfect player for them to rotate the strike and play the spinner so well. So that's the biggest punt New Zealand will take this World Cup, which might determine where they land up, whether again the normal top four or they get knocked out because he is going to be that influential figure. So fingers crossed. I hope to see him because yeah, that's one guy you cannot grudge. I mean, there's a very few people after who beat India, you will still not grudge them, right? You normally get very
Yeah.
pissed off and be like blame and all that, but you still
Yeah.
he's such a nice person. You feel for him that when that injury happened to him during IPL. So my prayers with him that he comes back and then yeah. I think yeah, as you said, they will sneak into the top four somehow some way, and we'll see at the end of all our preview videos how do we see the top four. We'll discuss that in the last video. So yeah, we'll start with the batting and the batsmen as like Conway, Young, Kane potentially if he's there, and then you have Chapman. So what are your thoughts on the batting with the opening combination? Let's start with Conway and
Hmm.
Young.
Hmm.
You see a surprise there?
I am a fan of Conway. I think he's so technically sound, and yet he can get runs at a brisk pace with classical shots, right? And he's good against the pacers. He's good against the spinners. So he's done really well. Even in the New Zealand England ODI series, the first match he hit a brilliant unbeaten hundred,
Century.
right? The only concern was the next three matches he got single figures. So hopefully he'll look to keep that consistency. Will Young. Has come in into the squad now, right? And he's replaced Finn Allen. Now, Finn Allen, that is a talking point, right? Because Finn Allen, we have seen on his day, he can really take the bowling apart, right? Like he did in the last T20 World Cup against Australia, which New Zealand won the opening match, right? Due to Finn Allen's heroics. But Finn Allen again brings in that inconsistency factor, I think. So they've decided to go with the consistency of Young over, Finn's mercurial nature. And the only thing with Young was I think he could have capitalized his chances better, right? In this series, he got 140, he got 230s, he got a 20. So in each match, he got a start, but he couldn't get a 50 plus score. Williamson, yeah, I think he'll be the key figure. If he comes in, he straight away slots in into three. Otherwise, yeah, Chapman comes in. Chapman is a good, very good cricketer to have in your team. Left hand, he brings in that left-hander variety as well in the batting. Only thing and I think both of us were just wondering that why didn't he play this series against England, right? Henry Nichols played instead, and Henry Nichols is not even in the squad of
Squad.
15. And we tried searching if there are any updates of any injury. We couldn't find any. So viewers, if you're watching this video, please do let us know if you know why he didn't play, because that was a bit surprising.
Yeah. And Chapin, his claim to fame is actually ironically the tour to Pakistan, where New Zealand sent the C team or D team. I don't know. It was so weak. But this guy was coming out of the crease and hitting out Haris Rauf and Shaheen Shah Afridi, sorry. And that's where his stock value grew up because mind you, he is Hong Kong born and he's played for the Hong Kong cricket team also, by the way.
Oh,
So
I didn't know. Okay.
how the transition happened from Hong Kong to New Zealand, that's another matter altogether. But he managed to pull that off, and he's now playing in a very handy middle order batsman. I think we will see him somewhere down the line because he has that X factor thing to him where he'll give you those quick runs, and he's a
Hmm.
left-hander in the middle
Hmm.
order, which is always a
Hmm.
boon for any 11. So batting wise, again, a team which has got less number of pure batsmen and they have decent number of pure like the all-rounders will also give them decent batting. So we'll jump to the wicket keepers
Correct.
first. So two wicket keepers, Latham and Glenn Phillips. Latham is not in form, but he's the backup captain who's always going to play as a captain in case Williamson is not fit. And this guy is a very good player of spin, left-hander again. And India may record is good. I mean, I think there are many chases he's done against India, right? Where we are
He and
thinking
Williamson
we'll win.
take them home always. Yeah.
तो इंडिया के साथ the record is good player spin तो one of those people who will shine in India normally he doesn't look threatening if you think about it.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
don't remember him slogging or having a 150 160 strike rate, but he's like one of those compact number 4 number 5 players. So the next player is I think the fun one, Glenn Phillips. So he's the backup keeper कहने के लिए, but he's a crazy fielder like Superman. He'll fly around the field. He will give you some off spin also if you want, and then I think he's the finisher number 6 or something to ensure that he can get that last kick. So he's that and T20 World Cup we know, right? That's where we saw his antics. So yeah, again good like Butler and Besto, I think pretty much
Yeah,
nailed on
very
to
good
this
five
one.
and six, I think, right? I mean, once the top order, like these guys like Conway Williamson, once they set the stage, then I think Latham and Phillips can be very good at 5 and 6 in the last overs.
Correct. And then let's jump to the all-rounders. So again, New Zealand has typically more all-rounders traditionally. Again, not facing the India problem. India में problem है all-rounders का. England के पास भी है, इनके पास भी बहुत सारे हैं. Not as good as England, let's
Hmm.
be honest here. But Daryl Mitchell is one of those all-rounders who is primarily a batter, who will bowl if required. So decent medium pace he bowls. But I love the way he can play anywhere. So this
Hmm.
guy has been there, Rahul Dravid, in a weird way. उससे ओपनिंग भी कराई हुई है, उसको बीच में भी खिलाया हुआ है, उसको नंबर 7 पे फिनिशिंग भी करवाया हुआ है एंड बॉलिंग भी करवाई हुई है, बस कीपिंग नहीं करी है. सो आई लव द वे ही इज लाइक he molds himself into every role, the accumulator, the destroyer, everything he can do. So very handy cricketer to have in the middle order. The next one is Mitchell Santner. So and you rate him highly, right?
Yeah, I
How do you?
like him. I think, in fact, he doesn't get chances with CSK enough, right? I mean,
Yeah,
he hardly plays for them unless there is an injury. But he's always done well in India because this guy is a guy who loops the ball. He's not a, nowadays you see
fast.
left arm spinners trying to dart the
That
ball in, but this guy, I've never seen him dart the ball, right? Even if he's getting hit for sixes, next ball again he'll loop it up. So I like his philosophy, and a very good handy batsman also, right? He can come in and get, maybe if there is a top order, he can form a partnership with them and score runs also. So very underrated cricketer, but very useful to have in your 11.
and a very good batter also. For a
Hmm.
number eight, he's a brilliant batsman, and that chase that he and Bracewell did, I still remember that scared us right
Hmm.
at the end. So
Yeah.
one of the like very good bowler, very good eight. So he will play. He's New Zealand's main
Hmm.
guy actually, so he's definitely supposed to play. Jamie Neesham somehow made it to the squad. I'm still surprised. I This guy gets bought in every T20 league.
Yeah.
I think there
He's
he
known
plays.
more for his social media antics rather than on-field
That's
stuff, I think, right? Yeah.
I think वो टू इन वन देता है प्लेयर भी एंड मीडिया पीआर टाइप्स आई थिंक गिव्स यू एक सैलरी में दो डबल हेडिंग ही does officially for every IPL team. So yeah, I don't I find him very iffy. I mean, not good
Hmm.
enough to bowl for sure. He'll get
Hmm.
hit like everything. And
Hmm.
batting में भी मैं मुझे याद नहीं है. Do you remember anything he's done like substantial at the bat? He's
Again, this was 4 years back in the 2019 World Cup final. I think he played a good part, right? Almost got them over the line. But to be honest, I'll be very surprised if he gets games in this tournament. I think he will not make it to the 11 unless there is an injury. I think he'll not feature. Yeah.
and his replacement will be Rachin Ravindra. He's the like the fourth all rounder. He's been around, but I think he just came into the force suddenly. I feel I don't think he was in the radar of New Zealand cricket in terms of World Cup. Maybe, पिछले I think कुछ दो तीन series में he's come and England में he did a very good job. So
Hmm.
credit to him that he stepped up when it mattered. So he takes the final all-rounder slot and he should be the number seven. So seven and eight, an axis of Santner and Ravindra is what I see. And coming to the bowlers, so their bowling is, I think, blessed. I think one of the good bowling attacks, which is underrated. I think
Hmm.
people don't rate it highly enough. But this bowling attack, so Bolt comes back. So Bolt had this whole issue with the central contracts because he also wants to be a freelancer and play T20 leagues. But New Zealand, see, that's why you need to give credit. There's no ego. They
Correct.
know एक तो वैसी population कम है, so they have limited talent in that country. तो जो है, they understand. So and anybody would love to represent the team for the World Cup,
Hmm.
right? So they
Hmm.
got that dialogue going and they made a deal with him कि चलो you play the England series, let's see where you are, and then obviously quality player with the new ball.
Hmm. Hmm.
So bowler Bolt will be that X factor for me with the new ball in India with his IPL training as well.
Correct.
Very handy.
Correct.
So
And for
but
me, he's the most dangerous left arm pacer, right? Like, for example, I know Stark is there, but Stark on his days can be
get hit.
erratic and get hit also. Shaheen Shah Afridi also, I mean, there are some injury concerns at times. He's upfront good with the new ball, but once the ball loses its shine,
Uh,
then with the older ball, he's not that good. But I think Bolt, you hardly recollect him ever getting hit, right? And he always gets wickets with the new
the
ball.
new ball.
So for me, he's the biggest threat. He's a match winner on his day.
And Ferguson is there who will give you that pace, but he's not been in good form, is what I remember.
Hmm.
Even in IPL, and he gets hit a lot. Even this England series he played, not
Correct.
that great. The
Hmm.
one I want to talk about is Matt Henry. So big fan of this guy, very underrated, and he destroyed India in that semis. So we remember like that, but very what I think probably there's some part of Shane Bond here. That
Correct.
action,
We
that
have that nostalgia of that also, I think. I guess, yeah.
very Shane Bondish action and very like he's a very good bowler. I don't know
Hmm.
how this guy doesn't play in front of Saudi. So I think God probably saw that and Saudi को ही fracture कर दिया I think तब. So because there's this love affair with Saudi, which I
Uh,
get Saudi in New Zealand is something like Daryl Tuffy in New Zealand also. वो
correct.
swing master,
Correct.
right? So
Hmm.
he is value for money there. But I remember Saudi gets hit everywhere if the ball is not swinging. Because pace नहीं है
Correct.
अभी, Yorker भी नहीं है.
Hmm.
So Henry has everything: pace, swing, Yorker. He's multi-dimensional fast bowler. So yeah, you think they'll miss Saudi in this? Because I
I
was
honestly agree with you. I don't think they'll miss him because they already have enough quality. Bolt is there, Henry is there, Ferguson is there, and let's say Saudi doesn't make it and is out of the 15, they can bring Jameson also. Although Jameson didn't have a good
correct.
series against England, but they'll not miss him. I'm sure. I mean, in Indian condition, at least, definitely no.
Definitely. And if Saudi was fit and playing in the squad, he would play also. That's the problem because of the seniority thing, right? So
Correct.
Saudi and Bolt is that combination they keep raving about. He dono senior bowlers, hai. But Saudi generally, if we see his record, I'm sure we'll find that also there that he's not a great bowler in non-swinging conditions.
Hmm.
So a blessing in disguise for once, wherein Henry should get his chance to shine. And he should show that yeah he's real because this guy's old, he's playing since 2014. He's barely got like 70 matches in his career. So one
Very
of those
underrated. Yeah.
underrated. So bowling is those side, and last one is Ish Sodhi. So that is the leg spinner they've got. Again, a very good pure spinner. Somebody who will again they have two left arm finger spinners. So
Hmm.
when they will be up against left-handed dominated teams, Sodhi will become useful for his wrong ones and manage that because otherwise every bowler is getting the ball inside the middle overs, which is
Hmm.
not good against any left-hander.
Correct.
So you see him making it to the level.
Uh, Again, I think if we get the standard good ICC surfaces for world tournaments, then New Zealand will go with only two spinners, right?
Yeah,
But what I'm interested to see is if they get tacky surfaces, right, where even 200, 230 become tricky chases, then I could see all three of them play together. If only two, they'll have to take a call because both Santner and Ravindra are left
the
arm
bat
spinners,
also.
right? So yeah, similar to the Jadeja Aksar conundrum that we have. So we'll
Uh,
have to see because Sodhi doesn't bring in the batting skill in that side of things, right? So don't know if he'll end up in a Chahel like situation, but a
oh,
very good bowler. I mean, he turns the ball. That is important, right? He gets
yeah,
the bite of the surface. So we'll
correct,
see. I don't see him playing many games, but whatever little games he plays, I'm sure he'll have some impact.
correct. And he's very tall. That height also helps him with the whole loop and dip for leg spinner that's necessary. So one of
Correct.
those players who should be played, but yeah, it's difficult to fit him in. So yeah, let's jump to the like potential starting 11. And I think it's going to be very similar to what we saw in New Zealand, with minus Kane. Obviously, Kane will just slot in, right? So
Correct.
openers we discussed, Conway and Young will start, so that's fine, and that's the best they can do at this point of time.
Hmm.
Number three, I think Kane is a dead certainty. What
Yeah.
about the middle order, 4 to 7?
They should start with, I mean, keeping the same order which they had in the England series. I think Mitchell will play four. They'll want to keep Latham and Phillips for the spinners, right? Later in the 30 over mark or so. So I see Mitchell and then, Latham, Phillips, and then the two left arm spinners if they're
Seven,
playing.
eight.
So that would
Mm,
be the ideal middle order. But you never know. Let's say they get nipped out by seamers at and are let's say at 20 for 2, even Latham could come at 4 and Mitchell could come at
solid.
5. So that
Yes.
also could happen. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And they have the flexibility because the left-hander, right-hander, they might try to do right. So if Conway is not
Correct.
there, they can just bump up Latham. And Latham does
Correct.
open. Somebody
Yeah,
has to
actually, he
right.
started his career as a
Uh,
opener, right?
correct.
In Test, he still opens.
Yes, he
So,
opens
yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
So it's one of the
yeah.
rare things. Test में opening कर रहे
Correct.
हैं middle order when things are easy, he's बेचारा
Yeah.
बीच में भेज देते उसको. He
Yeah.
doesn't let him play in the opening. So 7, 8 by Ravindra and Santner is what I also think will be the starting
Correct.
point, and then
Correct.
potentially based on pitches and form and injury, things might change. And then the last three are going to be a
Correct.
pure baseman, the
Yeah.
Bolt, Henry, and
Bolt,
Ferguson.
Henry, Ferguson. Yeah.
Hmm. And I know Ferguson is the one I have my doubts on in terms of he is leaking runs, a bit
Hmm.
injury prone. So I don't expect him to play 9 matches,
Hmm.
honestly. So that's where I think Sodhi might come in. They
Hmm.
might go for an option of, अगर रविंद्रा नहीं चलता because Ravindra at the end is untested, right? So there's a huge possibility he might get murdered by somebody in some of those Bangalore Wankhede type pitches. So then
Hmm.
you get Santon at 7 because he's good enough
Hmm.
to bat at 7,
Correct.
and then you get Sodhi at 8. तो उससे वही इंडिया वाला प्रॉब्लम हो जाएगा. You will have four pure bowlers who don't know how to bat. So they might they might have to take that call अगर रविंद्रा का फॉर्म नहीं हुआ because if you slot Nisham is not good enough to give you 10 overs. But you'll have to start managing
Definitely
things
no.
around him.
Yeah.
So they also have their own selection challenges based on
Hmm.
pitches and service. But I like the squad in terms of the
Hmm.
variety they have to to handle these situations based on the conditions. So Chapman is still going to be my person to look out for because he was very impressive. Whatever little I saw against Pakistan, and I know those are dead
Yeah.
pitches and a bit overrated team they are, and they might have been New Zealand C team aram se khelte, but he was genuinely a lot of fun to watch. Somebody attacking the Pakistan paces, it's a rare sight, right?
Yeah. One
So
point I think Bracewell will be a big miss for them,
Michael,
right? Because if you remember last time they came to India, he played one big knock with the bat also, and he's a good off spinner. Right now they don't have a right arm off spinner, right? So he could have added that variety into the mix. So he will be a miss for them, both in terms of right arm off spin as well as his left hand hitting, in the lower middle order. So that will be a miss.
so there is some propaganda might be a strong word, but there's something against right hand off spinners. Now, if I think about it, now
Hmm.
that we are discussing about this, New Zealand also have two left arm finger spinners. South Africa is going to come with Shamsi and Maharaj. India initially were going with Akshar and Jadeja. So there's some union happening against right arm off spinners. Leg spinners फिर भी थोड़ा सा trade कर रहे हैं, but there's some
Correct.
misconception की right arm because I think it's the matchup theory. I have a feeling.
Mm.
He-
Because right hand batsman can go after them, right, with
uh,
the incoming ball.
Majority teams have majority right hand batsmen in general.
Correct.
So I think this is what how people are lining it up, which is very wrong. I feel a quality bowler is a quality bowler, and we will see that. I think I have a feeling India will make that switch with Ashwin right
Hmm.
at the end
Hmm.
if he does decently against Australia or Sundar also depends who
Correct.
gets the chances.
Correct.
So yeah, so final words on prospects for this team for you. Any
I think the trend always is people feel no, New Zealand will not make it to the semis, but this time I think I'll take a call that they'll make it to the semis. And why? Because I feel all their batsmen play spin very well. Right, in certain teams like Australia or England or even South Africa, you can't always say that all their batsmen play spin well. Right, New Zealand
yes.
all batsmen play spin well. Plus,
Mm,
they have got three quality spinners. Right, there's no spinner there who you will say okay he's a bits and pieces spinner. Right,
mm,
all three are good spinners, plus they're well rounded, they seem to have players for each base, right?
mm,
So
mm.
I feel again it will be a shootout between New Zealand and South Africa, maybe for that fourth spot, but I feel they could make it for the semis. Do you feel they might make it, or you feel this time it might be a push too
Huh,
much for them?
yes, I think so. If Kane misses the initial tournament, right, as per
Hmm.
the reports, he might not play the first 2 3 matches. I think that's when problem will start for them.
Hmm.
Also, if Kane comes and he's not at all batting well, that
Hmm.
again will create a problem because you cannot drop him because he's your captain plus it's Kane Williamson. So then you're playing with an out of form Kane Williamson. So I think it really hinges on that one poor fellow who's coming back from an injury who hasn't held a bat probably all this while. So it's unfair on him, but that's how things are. So I would say that yeah, if Kane is there from the beginning and has a decent tournament, yes, it'll be top four for them also. Who they'll topple is another matter because there are a lot of I think 6 teams we are talking about all this while,
Correct.
out of which four will make it. So I will boil it down to Kane and how soon he comes and in what
Hmm.
form he comes. If
Hmm.
everything is good, yes, I think they'll fight and graft and upset one of the top teams because
Correct.
Australia looks a bit shaky as of today because
Correct.
of their injury problems. But yeah, we'll discuss Australia. But Australian World Cups again, things change
Hmm.
around. So
Correct.
as you said, England, New Zealand पे ही आना चाहिए, and you should add Pakistan, otherwise people will get angry. But yeah, those three I think should make the top slot.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that's
And just like I think to round up the video, just like I think how Rashid needs to have a very good tournament for England, I think
mm,
Bolt needs to have it for New Zealand, right? Because if Bolt has a very
new ball.
silent or a very average tournament, then New Zealand's bowling, could then
May fall
suffer.
apart.
So he needs to have a very good tournament.
Agreed, agreed. So yeah, let's see then what this particular
Okay.
team's chances. Mm.
Yeah. Okay, then, folks. So that was our wrap up for the New Zealand preview. Remember, this was the second team we have previewed. So please do watch our England preview video, and please do let us know your thoughts on this video, because I think we discussed a lot of points about New Zealand, right? And let's see if they can again, add another feather to their cap by making it to the semis or even further this time, right? Remember, they have never won an ODI World Cup, so that will be a big incentive for them going forward also. So on that note, folks, please do like, share, comment, and subscribe. Your encouragement means a lot to us, and look forward to our next preview video shortly. Till then, take care and stay safe. Bye bye.
Thank you.